Around the world, many countries have problems with immigration. In places like the United States and Europe, people often worry about immigrants who are poor or without papers. They think these newcomers will take jobs, make houses more expensive, or use up public services. But in Singapore, the story is very different. Here, the new arrivals are not the poor, but the super rich. This small country in Southeast Asia is smaller than New York City. It has about 5.9 million people. Yet a surprising number of the world's richest people now live here. As of 2025, about 22% of all billionaires in the world have made Singapore their home. This is much higher than Singapore's share of the world's population. Some rich people came a long time ago. In 2009, Eduardo Severin, who helped start Facebook, moved to Singapore. He gave up his U.S. citizenship. Later, in 2019, James Dyson, a British businessman known for vacuum cleaners, also moved his company to Singapore. He even bought a very expensive home there. What started with a few famous names has now become a big trend. In 2024 alone, many billionaires and millionaires moved to Singapore. They brought a huge amount of money with them, about 150 billion US dollars. For a country with only 5.9 million people, this is a massive wave of money. It is almost 1/3 of Singapore's total economic value in just 1 year. This was not by chance.
The main question is, how did Singapore manage to take in so much money and so many rich people so quickly? And what does this mean for ordinary people who live there? Singapore has a special plan, a kind of menu designed by the government. This plan lets rich people and their money come into the country. The next chapter will show exactly how this system works. 2. How they get in. Singapore has a special way for very rich people to move there. It is called the Global Investor Program. This program is not like a normal visa system. It is more like a special private club for the wealthy. Singapore approves only a few hundred people for this program each year, making it very exclusive. To be part of this club, rich people have 3 main ways to bring their money and themselves into Singapore. The first way, called Option A, is to invest at least 7.5 million US dollars. This money must go into a new business or an existing business in Singapore. This business must also create jobs for at least 30 people. Importantly, half of these jobs must go to Singapore citizens. The second way, Option B, involves a larger investment. Here, a person must put about 18 million US dollars into a special fund. This fund is approved by the government and invests only in companies that are based in Singapore. However, the most popular choice among billionaires is Option C. This option requires setting up a family office in Singapore. A family office is a private company created to manage the money and investments for just one very rich family. To qualify, this office must have at least 150 million US dollars under its management. From this large sum, at least 37 million US dollars needs to be actively invested in approved areas. The family office also needs to employ at least 5 professionals locally. By the 5th year, 3 of these employees must be Singapore citizens. Billionaires really like the family office option. It acts like their personal financial headquarters. They hire smart people, like former bankers or lawyers, to manage all their investments. These offices also plan how the family's wealth will be passed down safely to future generations. This way, their money stays private because the offices do not need to share their earnings publicly. Singapore also makes it attractive with tax benefits, especially if the family office hires local people and invests money within Singapore. This system is very good at bringing a lot of wealth into Singapore today. However, this special structure of family offices could create bigger differences between the rich and the poor later on. While getting their money into Singapore is designed to be straightforward for these wealthy individuals, there is a deeper reason why they are coming so quickly. The real secret is about certain dangers they are trying to run away from. 3. A safe place for money.
Singapore has a reputation for being a very orderly place, sometimes called boring. For many rich people, this boring image is exactly what they seek. They want a country that is stable and predictable. Since it became independent in 1965, the same political party has led Singapore. Its first leader, Lee Kuan Yew, had a clear vision for the nation. He planned for Singapore's future many years ahead, investing in education, law, and safety. This means laws, especially tax laws, do not change suddenly, offering long-term certainty for investments. This kind of stability is very important for billionaires who need to know their money will be safe for years to come. Safety is another big reason why billionaires are attracted. English is the main language for work in business, making communication easy for global families. Also, Singapore is consistently ranked as one of the safest cities in the world. Violent crimes are very rare, and rules against serious offenses are notoriously strict. People here, including rich families, feel secure in their daily lives. What about corruption? Singapore is known for having very little corruption. In global reports, it consistently ranks among the top 5 least corrupt countries, ahead of many Western nations. A special government group can arrest anyone, even important officials or rich business owners, if they are found to be corrupt. Punishments are serious, like jail time and huge fines.
This strong stand against corruption builds trust. Then there are the significant financial benefits. Singapore has no tax on capital gains. This means if a rich person sells their stocks, property, or even a company, they do not pay tax on the profit they make. This is a huge advantage. Also, there is no inheritance or estate tax. In many Western countries, like the United States, up to 40% of a family's fortune can be taken by the government when it is passed down. In Singapore, families can pass down billions of dollars to their children without losing a large part of it to taxes. This helps families keep their wealth for many generations, supporting dynastic wealth. All these things make Singapore seem like a perfect, safe, and tax-friendly vault for the ultra-rich and their families. It is a place where their fortunes can grow and be preserved. But how long can this ideal situation last without outside forces taking notice? Global powers sometimes look closely at countries that attract so much wealth. While Singapore offers many strong reasons to come, there is also a deeper, darker reason for this rush. A terrifying geopolitical storm next door is also pushing rich people to leave their homes and seek safety in Singapore. 4. Running from danger. Hong Kong used to be a big money center in Asia. Many rich Chinese people kept their money and businesses there, safe under special laws. But this changed after 2019. After protests, China enacted the National Security Law in 2020. This law gave the government much more power, allowing closer watch over people, asset freezes, and punishment for vaguely defined acts. Rich business people became worried. Hong Kong no longer felt safe. They saw what happened to others. In 2017, billionaire Xiao Jianhua was taken from his Hong Kong hotel. He managed money for powerful Chinese families, then vanished for years before being imprisoned in 2022. This showed that no wealthy person, no matter how powerful, was truly secure. Another famous case was Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba. Before his company's major public stock sale, he criticized Chinese banks. Soon, the big sale was stopped, and Jack Ma disappeared for months. Other large tech companies in China also faced big investigations and fines. The Chinese government said these actions would curb powerful rich individuals and create a more equal society. However, for investors, the message was clear. Challenging the government or being too successful and visible could risk one's money and freedom. Because of this danger, many rich people from China and Hong Kong began leaving. They moved their families and money. The United States seemed risky due to political tensions. Dubai's legal system was less clear. Singapore, however, was nearby, politically neutral, and felt very safe. In 2022, almost 10,000 rich people left China. This was a major global wealth migration.
It wasn't only Chinese billionaires. Wealthy families from other Asian countries, like Indonesia and Thailand, also moved. They needed to protect their money from quick political changes or unclear laws at home. Singapore's clear financial rules and simple family office setups quickly made it Asia's new wealth hub. These billionaires found safety in Singapore, but their arrival has caused new problems, threatening the lives of people already living there. 5. Life for the people. The arrival of many rich people in Singapore has changed life for everyone. This new wealth, about $150 billion in 1 year, means big changes for ordinary citizens. While the money has created jobs and increased government taxes, it also brings new problems. Most Singaporeans live in special public homes called HDB flats. These homes are usually easy to afford and well kept. They are a big part of the country's promise that everyone can have a good home. But now, even these public homes have become very expensive. It is now common for HDB flats to sell for more than 1 million Singaporean dollars. This makes it hard for young couples to buy their first homes. This rise in prices is not just for public housing. When rich people buy expensive private homes, it pushes up all housing costs. Everything else also becomes more costly, like food, transport, and eating out. In 2023, Singapore was called the most expensive city in the world. But at the same time, the money people earn has not grown much. Worker salaries grew by only 0.4% that year. This means daily life is much harder for many families. Singapore now has a big problem with wealth inequality. The richest 10% of families control 2/3 of all the country's money. This is the biggest difference between rich and poor in all of Asia Pacific. There are many millionaires, but also many adults with very little money. This makes people wonder if the old idea of working hard to succeed still holds true. Rising prices are a serious issue, but for many Singaporeans there is a deeper problem. They feel like their home is changing too fast, and they are becoming strangers in their own country. 6. A changing home. The arrival of many very rich people changed Singapore in a big way. For ordinary citizens, it started to feel different, sometimes even strange. Their familiar neighborhoods began to transform. New restaurants, luxury shops, and services appeared, often designed for the tastes and budgets of global elites. Local families, who had lived there for generations, sometimes felt like strangers in places they had known their whole lives. The quiet places they loved now buzzed with new activities in different languages. There was a clear, though often unseen, separation emerging. The new wealthy residents often lived in special, expensive communities or luxury apartments.
These were very different from the regular homes of local people. This created an invisible wall between the new elites and the long-term residents. On one side were the new arrivals with their distinct values and customs. On the other side were the locals, living in their traditional heartland areas. This growing division started to challenge the very idea of a shared national identity. The government noticed these pressures and tried to make changes. To cool down the housing market, they added a large tax.
In 2023, foreigners buying property had to pay an additional 60% tax. They also made the rules for setting up family offices stricter, hoping to slow the amount of new money coming in. However, many felt these steps came too late or were not strong enough. For middle-class Singaporeans, homes did not become more affordable, and daily life remained very expensive. This situation highlights an important truth. While money can bring economic benefits, it cannot simply buy social unity. When a country's character changes so quickly, it risks losing the strong sense of community and shared values it once had. Singapore appears very stable and strong now, a secure place for the rich. But history holds important lessons for all. Switzerland was once thought of as the ultimate safe haven for wealth, with its famous banking secrecy. It believed its system would last forever.
But then, the United States showed that even the safest places can face powerful challenges. 7. What happened before? For many years, Switzerland was known as the best place for private banking. Swiss bank accounts were very secret. Special laws since 1934 made sure rich people's money was safe and private. Switzerland was also a neutral country. This made it the top choice for the world's wealthy for over 100 years. But in 2008, things changed. The U.S. states started a big fight against Swiss banking secrecy. There was a financial crisis around the world. This gave America a reason to go after money hidden overseas. American people were losing billions of dollars each year because of tax evasion. Many Swiss banks, like UBS, were part of this problem. UBS is a very big Swiss bank. After buying an American company in 2000, UBS was supposed to tell the U.S. government about its American clients, but it did not. Instead, UBS bankers did secret things. They even put diamonds in toothpaste tubes to smuggle them. They taught clients how to lie to customs officers. They created fake companies to hide American money. Then, in 2007, a man named Bradley Birkenfeld, who used to work at UBS, told everything. He revealed that about 19,000 clients had hidden around $19 billion. After the financial crisis worsened in 2008, the U.S. government acted.
American families were losing their homes, but rich Americans still hid billions in Switzerland. The U.S. threatened to stop UBS from working with the American financial system. For a big bank, this was like a death sentence. So, in February 2009, UBS agreed. They paid $780 million in fines. They also gave the names of 4,500 American clients. This was a huge change. It went against Swiss banking secrecy laws that were almost 80 years old. The Swiss government tried to protect its banks, but it could not. The U.S. then went after Wegelin, Switzerland's oldest private bank, which started in 1741. Wegelin also had to stop working as a bank because of U.S. pressure. The U.S. showed that its economic power was too strong for Switzerland. Swiss banking secrecy for foreign clients ended. Now we must ask, could the same thing happen to Singapore? The U.S. government has named Singapore as a place it might target, just like Switzerland. Is Singapore next? The U.S. broke Switzerland's secret vault, but Singapore has a special trick that Switzerland did not have. 8. What comes next? Singapore has a special trick that Switzerland did not have. This makes it unlikely to face the same problems as Switzerland did with the United States. Singapore is very important to both the United States and China. It has a key position in the world. For example, Singapore hosts many U.S. military commands.
More than 800 U.S. military personnel work there. The U.S. has used Singapore for military purposes since 1990. At the same time, China is Singapore's largest trading partner. Chinese warships also visit Singapore.
The two countries sometimes do military exercises together. The U.S. is also Singapore's biggest source of foreign investment. Because of this, neither the United States nor China can afford to damage Singapore's financial system. It would hurt their own interests. Singapore is a central place where both countries meet and work together, like at the yearly Shangri-La Dialogue. So Singapore's safety for rich people is not about keeping bank secrets. Singapore already shares financial information with the US and China. The new kind of safety comes from its neutral position between global powers. It is about legal ways to manage wealth and protect assets. This means Singapore has found a way to attract the world's richest people. It brings jobs and helps the economy grow. But this also brings big social and cultural challenges for the people who already live there. Singapore faces a big choice: getting richer versus keeping its national identity and social unity. It is a question about the country's heart and soul. This story shows us what might happen in other countries too, as very rich people move their money around the world. How do you think countries can balance attracting wealth with looking after their own people?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.